Okay, guys. So today we are basically going to talk about the second component of our paper one reading English double one two three, and the component is basically the summary writing. So in today's class, we are basically going to explore the different ways this variant has been changed and what are the specific requirement from the side of the examiner, like that we have to keep in mind when we are attempting this specific part. Okay, so before proceeding, let me give you a very quick recap that we are working with paper one. Paper one is supposed to have two text. Text A, the reading comprehension, where you will receive question number one and question number two, and text B is mainly aimed for writing the second component of your paper, which is summary writing. And from here, you are going to get two particular questions, 3A and 3B. So let's discuss that what specific aspects have been changed with the arrival of this new specific syllabus. The summary writing had already been the part of our syllabus, but now we usually do not say the word summary writing, but we say the word selective summary writing. So let's first and foremost discuss that why it is known as a selective summary and what does it mean when we say the selective summary. So basically, a selective summary gives you only the key information from the text about one specific prospect or one specific area or some certain part of the text, which means that a selective summary is never been aimed to summarize the whole entire given text. This thing you need to keep in your mind, that you are not going to summarize the whole entire text, you are going to summarize a part of the text, right? This selective summary basically helps the reader to quickly understand the main ideas presented in a longer form of a text and to make their specific understanding and connection, like what and how these ideas have been presented, right? In order to write a good summary, what we have to do, we just have to do simple two things. We need to choose the relevant points and that are going to be answer our question. And when it comes with the answering aspect, so we have to make sure that we are writing an answer, we are writing a summary which is an organized, simplified, and having a shortened way of the information. So here, the specific purpose is to make the main ideas clear and easy to read. If we dive deep into this specific aspect of question number 3A, so it is basically divided into two parts, which means that it is going to assess two of your skills, right? Reading and writing both. So first, let's discuss that which what are the specific areas which are being discussed while working with the reading part of a summary. So the first and the foremost is the expression of the explicit idea. You need to show your understanding of the text without adding the personal opinion or any other extra explanation with relevance to what you have read in the text. Okay, now extra explanation. I have used the word extra explanation, not the explanation. It is really not going to be like that you have picked up half point from the text and you are just adding it as on. You need to make it clear. So that means that you need to add explanation, but you don't need to add the extraordinary explanation to make it prolonger. So this means that the first thing that is going to be considered in your summary is that particular skill of yours to predict out the explicit ideas from a given text. Second thing which is going to be in assess is the range, which is basically to include the relevant ideas from the entire passage. Remember, when we are given a longer text, specifically if we talk about the particular criteria for double one two three, so we might receive a text which is 500 to 600 word longer. So obviously, if we receive a longer text and the few specific points have been made, so the author might have tried to justify those points by adding some sort of other quotation or by providing some sort of statistical data. So we are not going to pick up that data. We are just going to pick up the explicit point. This is what the range stands for. Relevance. Relevance means that you are going to focus on the question. Your answer is totally directed with all the specific direction and the instructions which have been presented in the question without providing any sort of unnecessary detail. If the question says the summarize the main aspect that why climate change is getting at the alarming condition. So that means that you are just going to talk about the specific things which are making climate change alarming, right? You are not going to talk about any measure that have been done, regardless the matter if it is being presented in the text or not. Fourth thing is a selection. You need to be very wise here, which means that you are going to choose only the necessary information and avoiding the repetition or too many examples to support your point. Selection means that you need to make sure that whatever the specific explicit idea you have taken out, is it really making a sense or not? Is it really aligning with the specific instructions, the requirement presented in the question or not? Last thing, which is going to be judged or assessed in your reading, is the specific use. There is a one whole line in a summary included which says that summarize the word or summarize by using your own words, which is clearly expressing or telling you that the examiner has refrained you to lift up the text. So that means that your response while writing a summary here is totally going to be judged on the basis by the of the way you have used your own words. So you are going to summarize the ideas in a way that is going to help your reader to understand rather than copying or the lifting the original text. So these five things are the particular aspects that are going to be judged under this specific umbrella of reading. And let me just summarize it very quickly. You are going to be assessed on basis of five specific skills: explicit ideas, range, relevance, selection, and use. Okay. If we talk about the specific skills which are going to be judged for the writing or assessed on behalf of writing, so they are basically two. First is the organization, and second is your own word. When it comes to the organization, so that means that all the specific ideas that you have taken out, you have presented them logically and clearly for easy understanding of your reader. And onward means that you are going to use different words of your own, even the sentence structure, to express the idea in a more clear way and in a concise way, right? So this is how the 20 mark of your question number 3A are going to decide your future, or going to decide the future of the response that you're going to compose for the summary, which is question number 3A. And it is of 20 marks. Oh yeah, the most important thing that I forgot to mention, the word limit. The word limit that we have is 150. Yes, plus 10 and minus 10 things are acceptable. You can go on with it. So keeping these specific information in your mind, like if we just sum up the whole entire lecture, or if we just sum up the whole entire thing, so the particular plan that you need to come is that your summary is going to consist in four specific aspects. Number one is a reading of the text, right? But before reading of the text, I suggest my candidates to read the question and understand the focus of the question. In this way, you would be able to understand while you are reading the text, that why are you reading and what specific things you have to point out during the reading, right? So let's restructure it. So the first thing is that you have to read the question and you have to understand the main focus, like what specific piece of selective summary you have to produce. Then the second step of writing the summary is going to start. You are going to direct your attention towards the text. You are going to start reading the text, and during the reading you are going to underline all the specific explicit ideas which you feel like are laying very closer to the specific focus of the question. Third is the organization. If you do the organization here right after the reading, so your summary would be more effective, right? For what you're supposed to do in the organization. For example, you have taken out 8 explicit ideas, right? And once you have listed all the 8 specific ideas, you realize that your idea number 2 and your idea number 6 are having the same context, or they are same in meaning. So when it comes to writing the summary, so it's not going to be like that you are going to talk about the same specific thing twice. So what you are going to do in the organization part, you are going to merge both of these ideas. So in this way, you will make your platform more easy or smooth to write down the summary, right? The fourth and the last stage of writing the summary is to review what you have written, right? In this specific part, you are just going to review what specific piece of summary you have produced, and you're going to correct the specific errors that you have done or mistakenly or deliberately, right? So this is how your question number 3A, which is of 20 marker, is supposed to be done. Now let's proceed to our towards our last component of P1, which is question number 3B, and it is known as the opinion-based response. So this task is also based on the text B and require a personal opinion, which means that whatever the specific things you have read from text text B, you're going to make your opinion from there, right? For example, the text that have been given to you is basically about the screen timing, and the text suggests that screen increase in screen timing come with the health hazards, right? So by using this particular phrase of health hazard, you can make your specific understanding that it may cause a particular weakness in your eyesight, or it may brought a particular back pain, right? So this is what the personal opinion mean for. Here, our purpose is to show our understanding of an attitude or an opinion which have been presented in the text. No understanding towards the text, an opinion or an understanding towards one specific attitude, right? So keeping this thing in your mind, you can say that in your response, you have two specific criteria. Either you can come up with the three explicit ideas along with the proper explanation of them, or you can just come up with one specific idea. You can provide one specific evidence from the text which made you to think about it, or you can provide the relevant explanation, right? I'll discuss this thing at the end of this lecture again. So in order to compose an effective response to this question is, you are going to identify the implicit ideas which are related to the perspective in the question, and you are going to use and develop those ideas in order to explain your viewpoint very clearly. You need to make sure that your answer directly addresses the question which is being asked, right? You are not going to talk about anything which is irrelevant, or you're not going to talk about anything which even not being asked in the question. Okay, as far as the structure of this question is concerned, right? So you can say that it's a five marker, and the specific skills that are going to be assessed here are two: implicit skills and consistency, relevance, development, support. For five skills, sorry, not two. So if we talk about implicit ideas, so here the first specific area where you are going to be marked is the particular way you have identified the hidden meaning or the hints in the text to understand the specific attitudes or the opinion presented by the author. The second criteria for the marking is a consistency, which means that you have maintained the specific viewpoint or the perspective in the given question. Your answer is not aligning in the opposite direction to what is being asked in the question, right? Relevance means that you have to ensure that all the specific ideas which you have taken, or the specific implicit ideas that you have inferred, they are directly linked to the details which has been mentioned in the text or with the clues which has been given in the text. Last thing, the last skill which is going to be assessed is the development. Only expression of the idea is not necessary at all. In order to get the good grade, in order to get better marks, only this specific expression is not necessary. You have to expand your expression, you have to expand on this implicit idea to make the meaning more clear. Although for this part, your writing skills are not assessed, but the clear expression is an important tool for effective communication. So you have to make sure that regardless the matter, your grammatical mistakes are not going to be count. The limited spelling mistakes might not going to be count. But yet, until you are not providing the particular answer in a proper frame which give a better understanding to your reader, so obviously nothing is going to be understandable. So you have to make sure that all the specific things are aligned in relevance to this specific particular details that we have discussed. So to sum up, let me just give you a very quick recap like what we have discussed so far. So we started with the selective summary, and we discussed that a selective summary is a short version of a text that only includes the most important points. Its purpose is to help the reader to quickly understand the main ideas without going into the extra details. And in order to write a good summary, we may need to pick only the specific information that answer the question. We are supposed to organize it clearly, and then we are supposed to rewrite by using our own words, but in a shorter form. So in paper one, question number 3A, test both of our reading and the writing skills. For reading, we need to understand the text, focus on the relevant points, avoid copying large sections, and make sure that our summary is clear. And for writing, we must organize the ideas logically and use our own words to explain them simply and effectively. If we talk about question number 3B, so it is different because it is an opinion based response about text B. And this task checks how well you have understood a particular viewpoint or attitude in the text. So instead of just listening to the fact, you need to find the hidden meaning, which are most commonly known as implicit ideas, and explain how they relate to the question. Your answer should be consistent with the viewpoint in the question. We are supposed to use the relevant details from the text and develop the ideas to show a clear understanding. While writing is not marked for the part B, we need to express our ideas clearly, which is quite very important to make our response quite very effective. Now, the last part of today's discussion is the specific thing, the way the question has been is going to be presented by the author here, the examiner here. This is how you are going to be given with the question. Read the text B, whatever the specific title of the text would be, must be written over here. Then the question A, summarize, and they will tell you one specific aspect that you have to summarize. Now, the thing is that how you are going to understand the specific requirement of the question. So it is a circle starting from here, right? So you have to go on these specific details to discuss like how you're going to look into it. So I'm giving you a moment just to read like what is being written on your screen. Okay, moving on. I hope you have read the specific things which has been mentioned over here. So let's look at the specific directions which have been hidden in the question. So the first thing is that once you have read through the text, you need to read the specific instructions which have been given for this question. This question highlight the purpose, even the audience. So the purpose to this specific response is quite very similar, that you have to outline something, you have to provide one specific selective summary of one specific start. And the audience for this specific response is an adult, right? You can consider it in a way that an adult who has not read this text. So consider itself that the selective summary that you are composing is a summary for a person who has not experienced what is being mentioned in the text, right? Then the response to this question needs to be in a form of a summary, so the register required should be formal and the style must be concise. So that means that our tone is supposed to be formal, and the size or the style is going to be concise. That means that we are not going to provide any sort of extraordinary supporting detail to support our stance. This thing is already highlighted in the question. Use continuous writing, not note form. Now, the thing is that previously our students were habitual of writing the notes, and there were a particular criteria for allocation of the marks on the notes. Now, here the examiner himself or herself is clearly saying not the note form. So the question arises, if in case we have mentioned our notes, like the specific part of the organization that I suggested you people, if you have done that, so how it is going to be assessed? Is it going to be marked, or you are going to receive any sort of negative marking on it? It's not going to be marked at all. In, in fact, it is not going to be overlooked. Whatever the things you write in your paper, there is not a single alphabet which is going to be overlooked, right? The checker is going to look at each and everything that you have written in your answer sheet. The thing is, if you do the note form thingy, right, like if you do the organization part or the planning part there, so it is an expression of your critical skills. It is an expression that you are well prepared. It is an expression that your efforts are something which are quite very valuable, right? So you can make your notes, and before proceeding into the summary, you need to make sure that all the specific part of the organization which is supposed to be done is already done in the form of the notes, to avoid any sort of cutting pasting. Okay, the next thing is the part B. So this is how the part B question appears. Imagine you are one of the, right? Here can be any specific thing or relevant to the specific passage, as the specific passage from where I have taken this question is basically based on a character Kant. So that's why this character is written. So in simple way, you can say that it is a sort of interview response question, right? You have to imagine, you have to put yourself into the shoe of the character among the text, and then they will give the specific scenario, like you have been interviewed by someone, by a news reporter, by a local programmer, or by a local news programmer, and then under this bold letters they give you the question, what is your opinion and why? So there are two approaches to answer this question, as I have mentioned few moments ago in my lecture. uh, Either you can come up with the three effective ideas along with the evidence and explanation. The specific mark allocation for this part is 5. So if you pay a role of a vice person, so what you can just simply do that you can pick up one idea, you can add one evidence to support that idea, and then you can add explanation. So this, in this way, the allocation of the line is going to be fulfilled, that one line for expression of your idea, two lines for the evidence, and three lines for your explanation, right? So 3 2 1. In this way your 5 marking are going to be fulfilled as well, right? Or the explanation can be of 2 mark as well, 2 2 1, yes, 5 marks. So the guidelines have been mentioned over here. The specific purpose, as I have discussed, that it is an interview based question. It is an opinion based response as well, so that means that you can mingle your language, or you can tailor your language accordingly to your specific audience. If it is a local news program, so that means that your answer or the expression of your opinion is going to be presented to a group of audience, and there is a possibility that among those audience there might be few who may not be able to understand what you are saying, so you need to tailor your language accordingly, right? So this is what our component 2 of paper 1 reading is: summary, writing a selective summary, and a short response question.